Yep. What's up, everybody? I know people can't see on Facebook or somehow, some way because my Facebook got hacked, but unfortunately. But don't worry, if you can't see on Facebook, you can definitely catch us on YouTube. Well, we get this shit out the way. Let's talk about some dope shit. I'm your boy Hill and my partner Reese. And Antonio will running a little bit late, but he is
Yeah.
coming.
And as like brothers chilling down in Memphis, getting some of that world famous barbecue down on Bill Street and some other places too. So yeah, we're glad you had safe travels there, brother. Yeah.
Oh yes. So we
Yeah,
got a lot of good stuff.
yeah. And not to mention, speaking of Memphis, yeah, sorry, John. Yeah,
Yeah, I knew that gonna happen.
yep,
And also they're facing the Lakers.
yep. Or no, oh, you mean the Warriors are, but
Yeah, the Warriors and the Lakers. And
yep.
come on, Lakers, I need to win this because you owe us that bullshit movie house party. But anyway,
Let's get into man, you know what? Let's start off on a high streak right now because yeah, we need something positive to kick the show off. And I know the best way to do it.
the best of Super Junior.
To yeah, you get caught on to how I emphasize best. Yeah, that
Yes.
was the most. Yeah. See y'all, that is the connection we got on the show. All right, let's
hmm
get into it. Best of the Super Juniors will be kicking off May 12th, and the finals will take place on May 28th. Card was announced. Let's see. What's 3 days ago? All right, Thursday, I believe. It's a draft night. All right, so let's take a look at the blocks right now. Block A will feature, of course, the defending champion and let's see, one, two. Yeah, the defending two-time champion, three-time overall winner, and the reigning IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, Hiromu Time Bomb Takahashi. He'll be he'll be competing against from the Bullet Club, the Boom Soldier himself, Taiji Ishimori. Show Titan, Doki, the Time Splitter himself, Kushida, TJP, of course, one half of the Catch Two, Catch 2, the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. Also, the Man of the Hour, Leo Rush, Speedball Mike Bailey, who from Impact, and Raisuke Taguchi from Black. So, Hill, what do you think about Block A?
Oh, this was. I think this was more interesting with the Block A. What I'm looking at right now. You got Kushida, who's a veteran in that division. You got Lee Rush, who popped into the scene. We got Ryo Kasuke Taguchi. He's there, right next to Hiroshi Tanahashi. I mean, not Hiroshi. Himoru Takahashi. There we go. Who's the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. Show Mike Bailey, Taiji Ishimori, TJP, Doki, and Titan. For this card A, I think I could compare this card A as the Eastern Conference of the NBA playoff because I can see at least five strong competitors out of the bunch. I see Leo Rush, Kushida. I can see Mike Bailey and Tachi Ishimori. Those at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, those five. Um, the dark horse of the whole thing is probably Show because we see him how he can put in work in their vision. And TJP, we don't see him as much in a single competitor, but we more see him as a tag team. But if I had to choose who will come out from the A block. I would love to see Leo Rush come out, but Tachi Ishimori might be pull out the big one for a new Bullet Club.
Hmm. That'd be interesting. Man, that'd be an interesting pick right there. Let's see, and we got some foreign winners. Of course, Kushida was the winner back in 2017.
Mm.
Um, as well as 2015. So he's got a couple wins under his belt. Yeah, Taguchi was a finalist back in 2016, of course, losing to Will Ospreay. Let's see what else. And of course, like we said, Taguchi also won it in 2012. So he's had a couple of finals appearances under his belt. Let's see. Yeah, shockingly, Ishimori shockingly hasn't been to a final since where I just see it. Actually, he's never been to the finals, shockingly.
Yeah, that is something.
Yeah, because yeah, it's like just going to go through recent winners and stuff. Oh no, wait a minute. Actually, I take that back. He was in the 2018 finals when he lost to Takahashi. So,
Oh, okay.
yep. All right, and then all right, but of course you gotta look at Time Bomb as a potential favorite. Of course, like I said, being the two-time defending champion, and yeah, I gotta say, like being right now, he is the top star of the junior heavyweights in New Japan. You gotta look at him. Gotta also look at Leo Rush, who's been chasing Time Bomb for that junior heavyweight title. Um, Kushida, look at her rejuvenate his career. Also got to look at him as a potential, and of course Ishimori, of course the man who, yeah, a multi-time junior heavyweight champion in his own right, is what look through. But I'm gonna tell you what, my dark horse for this one, I'm gonna say Doki.
Hmm.
And and well, let me just see. Yeah, and reason I'm going with that reason I'm going with that one is because man, you think about what just recently happened, especially with the just five guys. You just had Sonata recently become the IWGP World Champion for the first time in his career. I, I got I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if Doki at least wins Block A, just because of getting inspiration from Sonata and seeing how he made a big change to his career and now he reaped the benefits. So
Yeah, he's on the rise though. I see him making big noise for past couple of days, and even from the Genesis Sasuke, he really want that piece of the title, or he want to get a shot for the title. But for him, he got to show out. But he go up against some couple of great competitors in that blockade, and this might be the not the weakest, but it's probably the easiest path for one of these five superstars. So I think this will be one hell of a good show for A Block.
yeah, yeah. Trust me. Considering this block, I would definitely say this would be anything but easy. considering yeah, how a lot of these guys have competed against each other. But then we go over to Block B. And this one's gonna be the one of interest here because of course we had El Desperado, of course, who was the runner up in last year's tournament. We also have Yo. We have Robbie Eagles, and of course the from the Mighty Don't Kneel. We
Mhm.
have the other half of the junior heavyweight tag team champions, Francesco Akira from Catch 22. We also have Bushi, the Wild Rhino Clark Connors, Kevin Knight. You have Yoshinobu Kanemaru. We have Dan Maloney from from the British independent scene, and of course Master Watto.
The B block is your Western Conference right here because I think all of them is a big name. Well, not a big name. All of them is a big heavy hitters, except for Dan Maloney. Uh, he's a pretty good, decent wrestler. Not decent wrestler, but a good wrestler. Kevin Knight. I think he be the one who would show out in this one. And then you look at let's see, Clark Connor. Clark Connor is he's on the come up, but I feel like he should go for the never boy title or the US title. I think he's too big for the best super junior division. I mean the super junior division, in my opinion. But Bushi, I would love to see him go for the title. El Desperado, same for him. But Master Wato, I think his journey going for that title will start from there. But Robbie Eagles, he has shot, but he didn't capture the title. And Yao, I like Yao. He's a standout guy. But if I had to choose who's my pick to win from the Block B, it will be the top three. It will be Master Wato, Kevin Knight, because he really impressed me in a multiverse, the New Japan and Impact Wrestling crossover in a Fatal Five Way, no, in a Fatal Five Way, scramble match for the X Division title, and he can keep up with the guys. And Bushi, so Bushi, Kevin Knight, and Master Wato will be the top three, and I will pick Master Wato to come out from the Block B.
Man, I gotta roll with you on this one because Watto has been so close on a few occasions right now, and yeah, he's had moments where he's gotten big wins, but not in a great setting. I think if there's any time for him to really establish himself, this would be it. And I'm going to tell you what, if I'm going to go with a different three with this one because, all right, actually, I'm going to keep one of the ones you said. Kevin Knight, yeah, that dude has been balling. And man, he's been, to me, the standout star of the LA Dojo wrestlers. Um, And of course, El Desperado, like I said, he's a former junior heavyweight champion. He was the runner up in last year's tournament, and he desperately wants to get back. And especially if Time Bomb comes out of Block A. But, but I'm going to be real interested to see how this leads up when these matches come about. But yeah, I've got to look at Watto as the favorite in Block B because, like I said, he's the dude he's been on the come up, and he's wanted the shot for the junior heavyweight title, and he hasn't really had like I said, that really big breakout moment. I'm thinking if he even gets to the finals, much less wins this year's Super Junior tournament, oh, that's gonna be like yeah, that's gonna be his arrival.
And we saw that since last year, even before Wrestle Kingdom. He was a great IWGP Junior Tag Team Champion with Ryu Taguchi.
Yeah,
You know, great tag team, very
yeah,
entertaining.
6 to 9. Yeah,
Oh yeah, they're a dope tag team. But when after the tag team broke up after they lost the titles, we see Master Wato become a bigger star, and his level of success has been rising. And Wrestle Kingdom shows it all, and I think that's where his journey starts, and that's where the story begins. Much better than Cody Rhodes, but his story
yeah,
begins, and, and we are really root for him to capture his goal, and his journey is hasn't been easy, and it's been rough, but the end of the goal, or should I say, end of the line for Master Wato is him capturing the title. But yeah, Kevin Knight, that dude is very surprising. I think he could be a great guy to come from New Japan Strong and come out the gate who represent from that from the promotion and showcase his talent. And do I expect him to win the whole thing? Uh, slim chance. I would love to see him win that, but Kevin Knight is the guy to look at, and I think he will be a great addition for this junior heavyweight division. Bushi, love the guy, very athletic, top guy for the division. Love to see the title. He'd be a good run, but Master Wato is the right guy to capture the title and win the trophy.
yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna be. That's gonna be one hell of a tournament, no matter which way it goes. And of course, as we get closer, we'll be breaking down the tournament each week and give us our picks and whatnot. Um, let's keep it going with, you know, I'm feeling a redo right now. Of course, this one, this one's super card redo. Yeah, and of course, this is when we take a pay per view, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, and we reimagine what the how to make the card look a little more enticing. And of course, this year or this week, I should say, um, the card of choice was Halloween Havoc 1997, live from the MGM Grand in Vegas. All right, let's take a look at the card as it was. Of course, it was main evented by um, Roddy Piper taking on um, WCW World Champion Hollywood Hogan in in a steel cage match. Oh, wait a minute! Before I give the remainder of the card, let me remind you that, of course, if we did reimagine anything, champions did have to stay the same in this one, and the champions were Hulk Hogan, the world champion,
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Hennig, the U.S. champion, Steiner Brothers were the tag team champions, Disco Inferno was the TV champion, and Eddie Guerrero was the cruiserweight champion.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. All right. Like I said, main event was Roddy Piper and Hollywood Hogan in his steel cage match, non-title, of course. Um, Kurt Hennig defended the United States title against Nature Boy Ric Flair in a Las Vegas sudden death match. Diamond Dallas Page took on Macho Man Randy Savage. Um, Eddie Guerrero defended the cruiserweight title against Rey Mysterio, and if Mysterio lost, he would have to unmask. Um, Also, we had the total package Lex Luger taking on Scott Hall, with Larry Zbyszko as special guest referee. In singles action, we had Jacqueline taking on Disco Inferno. Yeah, don't ask me, folks. I'm still trying to figure out how that one came about. Um, yeah, we had Ultimo Dragon taking on Yuji Nagata, of course, being accompanied by the great Sonny Ono. We had Steve Mongo McMichael going one on one with Das Wunderkind, Alex Ray, and Lionheart Chris Jericho would take on Gato. Yes, yes, folks, believe it or not, Mister My Nuts was actually in WCW for a brief period of
Yeah.
time. All right, so that was the actual card.
Hmm.
Bill, was there anything you would have changed in that card, or yeah?
I would have put Jacqueline and Disco Inferno as a match opener, and I will have him defending the television title because them two had a little bit of story, a little short, brief story on Monday Night Nitro, I believe. And this is way ahead of his time, like way before China facing Jeff Jarrett for the IC title. And for this situation, she could have made some history. She could have been the first woman to win the television title in WCW. Um, that'd be a match opener, and then I would have followed that up with Yuji Nagata versus Ultimo Dragon. That one got a little bit of story revolving with Sonny Ono, um, Chris Jericho and Jito, then Alex Wright and Steve McMichael. Then I'll put Lex Luger and Scott Hall right after that one, and then Alex Wright and Steve McMichael. And then that's in this round we'll put three bangers. So the first banger I would have uh I would have Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, Randy Savage and DDP, and then Roddy Piper, of course, stay the same with Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's the way I would have for the Halloween Havoc. Just keep the fans going, keep all three as a banger, and I believe the cruiserweight title will be a 13-minute match. I believe. I'll make it a little bit longer. Randy Savage DDP was 18 minutes and 7 seconds. I give like a minute shave, and I will give Piper or Hogan a little bit longer without the fans' interference.
Mhm.
But but I think that'd be a good one to have a good Halloween Havoc. Just keep the show hype, keep the fans energized, and they won't be burned out during that time. I think back in the days, those fans were more attention span, a lot more wider.
Yeah.
So for that, I would keep them going.
All right. This one I had to do a massive redo. Yeah. All right. Now, the cage match, the sudden death match, and the US title and the cruiserweight title, those would have all stayed.
Hmm.
Right. But the rest of the card, I would have changed up big time. First, Steiner Brothers would have had them on, and of course, defending their tag team titles. Now, who would I have had them defending against would have been the question because I'm trying to remember if. Oh yeah, now of course this was another thing that yeah that you had to keep the roster active as is, and hmm,
I will say the Outsiders.
yeah, Nash was hurt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is why that they dropped the titles 2 weeks earlier on Nitro, and Six had to take his place. Um, I was gonna go with Harlem Heat on this one just so they could finally like blown off their feud or whatever. But I was trying to remember if Stevie was even active at this point in time.
I wanted Scott Norton and Buff Bagwell.
Oh yeah, Vicious and Delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, guess
I,
what? We actually did call. Actually, you know what? What? There would have been my choice right there because if if Harlem Heat wasn't active, then yeah, I would have had them challenged because Bagwell and Norton actually made a hell of a team.
very, I would say, I would call them the hidden gems of the tag team. They're very entertaining, but they never ever got their due. They pretty much like an NWO showcase.
Yep. Let's see. Actually, I'm trying to go back to all right WCW. Let's go sway down to October because I'm almost certain that Harlem Heat was still active. Yeah, they were. All right, yeah, they were because they're showing that they did compete. Yeah, because they did compete on a couple of house shows just before Havoc.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. All right, another change I would have had was I actually would have put Disco, even though I did like remember the story between him and Jacqueline, which by the way, Jackie, I'm sorry you had to get involved in that damn storyline. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot Jackie managed Harlem Heat at that also around that time too. I would have had Disco defend the TV title against Jericho. Because yeah, because like Chris, even though he was just coming off of losing the cruiserweight title, um, but still, like Jericho was still like getting into that popularity as at that point in time. So, all right, that would have been another change I would have made. Let's see. Actually, no, Luger and Hall, I actually would have kept too because they actually, yeah, because I had to admit they had like a decent matchup or whatnot. So, all right, so that's six I had. Okay, Nagata Ultimo Dragon I also would have kept because of yeah, they're yeah, because what was going on between them. Yeah. All right, so damn, only got one tag team match on this one, but thankfully it's the championship. So there we go. All right, probably would have had Benoit Malenko. Yeah, I think I would have had Benoit Malenko team up. Let's see, who could I put them against? And that's the one hard. That was like the one hard thing about like doing some of these rosters because yeah, trying to remember like guys who are active at this point in time.
Let's see. 1997.
Yeah.
Ooh,
All right. You
we
know what?
got
Actually, you know what? I would have actually put. Yeah. All right. You know what? I would actually put. Yeah, I'd actually have. Yeah, Benoit and Regal solo in that one.
I'll
And then
put Face of Fear.
yeah. Oh, that's right. Wait. Oh yeah, that's right. I think yeah, because I know Ming was still there, but I was trying to remember if Barbarian was still active at that point in time.
Let's see. I think probably Fair.
Mhm. Oh no. Yeah, they were. All right, then you know what? Yeah. All right, they have Benoit and Malenko against Oh yeah, because they were just facing it on. Oh yeah, that's right. Because yeah, Faces of Fear was just a fall brawl. Yeah. Um. Yeah, I would have had Benoit and Malenko against Faces of Fear. So, all right, so yeah, so six singles, two tags. Yeah, I think that will. Yeah, I think that's how I would have done it. But
Hmm.
like I said, the one thing I would have done was I would have separated. Yeah, I would have probably separated the card a little bit more though, because let's see, my open. All right, for my opener, I would have definitely had Ray and Eddie. Like for the all right, and then let's see, I would have had Disco and had Disco and Jericho to follow up. And my third match, yeah, I said Benoit Malenko versus Faces Fear. Yeah, yeah, especially because like that dungeon rivalry Benoit had. And,
Oh yeah, Kevin Sullivan.
yep. All
Hmm.
right. Then let's see. Then when I had Hennig Flair next, and I would have had Luger and Hole. And Steiner's. Yep, Steiner's versus Fish Delish for the tag belts. Then I would have had DDP and Macho, and then of course Piper and Hogan to end it.
Okay.
And that would have been, and that would be our super card redo for Halloween Havoc. You know what? Next week, oh man, Bill, I want to make you like a kid in a candy store next week
What is it?
because next week's card we're gonna go to a little place called the Tokyo Dome, and
Mm.
the card I'm going to pick. Yeah, this one I'm gonna have to research a lot for next week because the card I'm gonna do Wrestle Kingdom 8.
Ooh, I'm trying to think. Is it that's the one with Nakamura and Kota Ibushi?
No, it was no, it's Nakamura Tanahashi.
Oh yes, that one.
Yeah,
Let's see.
yeah, for the Intercontinental title. Yeah, which is one of the rare times the Intercontinental title actually was the main event.
Oh yeah, that's the one with the fans vote for the which title being the main event, and the vote for the Intercontinental Championship over the IWGP Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah,
That's where Naito and Okada fought each other for
yeah.
Yes, that was a very interesting Wrestle Kingdom. Very interesting. Oh yes, I can't wait to talk about that one.
Sorry. All right. Uh, let's get into the next thing we're going to talk about. Yep. Speaking of championships, yeah, something that our famous belt collector knows all too well. Yeah,
Yes,
that's right. Oh, you got the spin version. Yep.
one of the best titles.
60th. I love the spinner version, actually. Yeah. Of course, this past month, actually, just this past week, celebrating 60 years of the WWE Championship. And this one has been held by a who's who of people from the great living legend Bruno Sammartino to all the way up to Hulk Hogan to Macho Man Randy Savage, Nature Boy Ric Flair, Undertaker, Bret Hitman Hart, Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena, Triple H, all the way up to our Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. Yeah, there've been many men that rated our superstar Edge. Yeah, that have been recognized as the WWE champion. All right, Hill, let's take us back. Whether you knew it was the Worldwide Wrestling Federation Championship, the World Wrestling Federation
Ooh.
Championship, the WWE Championship, and
Mm.
yeah, there have been lots of great memories when it comes to when it comes to that title.
Yeah, well, you talking about the WWF title?
Mm.
You gotta look at them eras like Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan, Bob Backlund, even Bruno,
Superstar, yeah,
yeah, superstar Billy Graham, Bruno Sammartino. During that era, that's
right,
what
Pedro Morales, and
those guys at that time you can hold a record and the fans will enjoy it. Like you can hold like 1,000 days or hold a title for 8, 9, 10 plus years, and the fans will love it. You try that shit now, you will be hated. Even though we get tired out and bored, but you will be burned out. But with the WWF title, it was really something special. That's their WWF market, and before it was global, it was their territory. And you become the champion of that brand, you become the face of that company at that time with that title. And the most well-known champions during that time period, Bruno, Iron Sheik, and Hulk Hogan.
and,
Those are the names that really stands out the most if you think about those names
and,
as he is progressing.
and of course Bob Backlund as well, as you mentioned. You think about, and let's talk about that because you talked about the lengths of these reigns, and of course, yeah, we remember Sammartino in his first reign. Yeah, with a record 2,803 days as champion. Yeah, to put that in perspective, that was 7 years, 8 months, and a day, I believe.
I, yeah, that might be up there.
Yeah, yeah. Matter of fact, that's still to this day the all-time longest reign of a WWE champion of or at least a men's champion.
Yes, and are we going to see that breaking the record again? No. I mean, Roman Reigns, he's what, this is his third year. I don't know if we can do that anymore because that's too damn long.
Mhm. Yeah, and of course, yeah, then of course, Pedro Morales, of course, another longtime champion. Um, with over just over 1,000 days as WWE champion. Plus, Roman Reigns get ready to come near to that mark. Um, and let's talk about, and by the way, this could actually tie into our a later topic, that with the crowd in New York, you had a lot of ethnicity when it came to the championship early on, because of course Bruno Sammartino being Italian, Pedro Morales being Puerto Rican, um, although they held it briefly. Ivan Koloff, yeah, portraying a Russian. Yeah,
And Sheik.
yeah. Stan the Man Stasiak, from Canada. Yeah. Of course, like a little bit later on, we get to the Iron Sheik, of course, being from Iran. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, but the man who really stood out, even though now he may not be as looked up fondly, superstar Billy Graham. Because if you think about it, he was the first guy who really embodied what Vince McMahon, well, Jr. anyway, ultimately wanted the WWF or WWE to become. Because he, Billy Graham was that talker. He was that guy that, um, similar to what we would see Ric Flair become for the NWA, was he was that guy that he could talk the talk, but a lot of times he could also walk the walk as well.
Oh yeah, and he got the looks, he got the size, he got the shape, and in that era, what in the 70s,
Yep.
that's what a typical main event guys look like, or a typical wrestler back in the day, or should I say pro wrestler? Because you look at the 70s, they look for a big, larger than life wrestler to represent that title, the top title of pro wrestling, the main inventor, the guy who put butts to seat. That's the guy you look for. Compare it as to now, regular guys, regular shape, who athletic, who's a wrestler, could talk just like us, or someone look like us, sound like us, different different race compared to the 70s. So different generation gap, different looks of certain wrestlers. But with the 70s, big muscles, big personalities. Now, large in the life, social media, and OMG moments in the ring. So if you get them elements in the today era, yeah, you can be a world champion.
Yeah.
But in the 70s, get the looks, you can wrestle. That's it.
Yeah. But then again, to do a contrast, though, when you compare Graham to the man he would eventually lose the title to, Bob Backlund, Backlund wasn't exactly a muscle guy, but the thing was he had legitimacy as a former two-time NCAA All-American, and and of course Backlund would go on to have a near 6 year run as champion.
hmm Yeah, yeah, great run. Good run in that time.
Mhm.
As we go towards the 80s, I think that's more of a, what can I say, wrestlers of wrestlers.
Mhm.
But still, they still go for the large than life.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
hell, mm,
yeah, and which we would get to because, of course, the Iron Sheik would ultimately be the one who dethroned him, but the Sheik would not have a long reign because perhaps the date that changed wrestling more than any other, of course, January 23rd, 1984. Holy crap, I can't believe next year is going to be 40 years. Yeah, that fateful night in Madison Square Garden. Yeah, when we heard Eye of the Tiger we saw the man who portrayed Thunderlips walk down and basically take the Iron Sheik down. Of course, that being the one and only Hulk Hogan, and of course Hulk and I think Gorilla Monsoon's God rest Gorilla. Yeah, he said it best when the 3 count was made. It was on that day Hulkamania arrived.
Yes, and what time be alive in the '84? Hulk Hogan came in. If there were wrestling purist fans back then, they know who he is because he wrestled AWA, of
Mhm.
course, Japan, but he made his big mark in WWF where he defeated Iron Sheik, become the WWF World Champion with that big green title,
Mhm.
and he carried not only the company on his back, but he carried the era because when he won that title, he brought in the rock and roll era
Yeah,
because big guy, blonde hair, different era. That's where the MTV network
yeah,
started.
Rocket Wrestling Connection. Mhm.
And then next you know, the very first WrestleMania have him teaming up with Mr. T against Roddy Piper and Cowboy Orton. I mean Cowboy Orton,
Right.
Paul Randolph.
Yep.
Uh, that right there, it sparks it off, and Hulk Hogan made that title more well known, made that title more the flagship of the company. Because if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, none of this be happening, and we would see a different promotion carry over pro wrestling, like NWA, AWA, Jim Crockett.
Or
So
it'd still be in territory times.
yeah, territories. There will be no Indies, to be territories. So with that, Hulk Hogan and WWF machine, they break the mold. But right in that
Yeah,
era, '88,
yeah, but
Andre Giant. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, but also to tie into that, you think of what else Hogan did because now he took because of his appearance in Rocky 3, that allowed like the WWF to get like mainstream coverage because you remember he was going on Johnny Carson, he was hosting Saturday Night Live. Hell, he was the first wrestler featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Yeah, of course, and then not to mention putting wrestling on primetime TV with the well, actually late night because Saturday night's main event. Um and basically Hogan just like took the stage for now. Professional wrestling was literally all over television, uh, thanks to Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan, and the success that they created.
Mm,
However, like you were getting ready to mention, and we should have actually started this with Backlund. There were some histories with Phantom Reigns when it came to the WWF Championship. Of course, remember briefly during Backlund's run that he had a series of matches with Antonio Inoki, but that saw a title change, but the title change was not recognized at the point in time.
yeah, unfortunately, it would never been recognized until the passing, and that's where Corey Grave finally recognized Antonio Inoki as a WWF champion, being the first Japanese wrestler to hold onto that title. Um, it should have been in record books, and he did defend that title in New Japan Pro Wrestling, in which you guys can check it out on New Japan World, a whole boatloads of history. Um, he he made impact, man, being first international guys to do it, which is unheard of in WWF at the time. And back then, there was no forbidden doors. You could
Mhm,
have any wrestlers wrestle each other in any time, any place.
mhm,
But for Antonio Inoki, it was unfortunate with some limbo mumbo jumbo stuff with the title, so
mhm.
they had decided to vacate it. But he is not the only one
Yeah.
who never recognized as being a champion.
Yeah, and matter of fact, you were just getting ready to mention the next person, and perhaps one of the most infamous moments concerning the WWF Championship. Of course, the eighth wonder of the world, Andre the Giant, and perhaps the rematch from WrestleMania 3. Yeah, he would end the 4-day run, or the 4-year run, I should say, of Hulk Hogan as champion. But that was because he had a deal with the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase, where if Andre would defeat Hogan, and then DiBiase tried to buy the championship. But Jack Tunney said, not happening. And that would lead to WrestleMania 4 and the era of Macho Madness.
Yes. One of the great WrestleMania tournament. Not tournament. One of the great WrestleMania matches we've seen for a long, long time. Also, this we went back to Andre Giant. I love the Andre Giant Championship title he got, the '87 Andre, because if he would have won that title, that would be his title. It was a big title because of the Eagle Week. No, before the Eagle Wing, Hulk Hogan title was a little bit small, but the Andre the Giant title, it was beautiful, but never got used. Um, Andre Giant never get a chance to hold that title for a very long time, but he was recognized. Then Teddy Yasi, he held that title for a short period of time, and then that's what lead to a WrestleMania. One night tournament for the vacant WWF Championship. A lot of great names on the one show, but Macho Man Randy Savage come out on top with the title, and that's something we would not see until the Survivor Series Deadly Game. But
Yeah.
here we go, Rod.
Yeah. And of course, and we should mention that Savage had to do it. Not only had to win the title, but do it in an impressive fashion, competing in 4 matches in one day to accomplish the feat. Great stuff. And that would lead to the explosion of the Mega Powers, where Hogan will regain the title. But then a match where WWF audiences were divided because the 2 most popular men would head up for the Ultimate Challenge at the Skydome for WrestleMania 6. And then, of course, that would be the arrival of the Ultimate Champion and the Ultimate Warrior, of course, becoming the first man to unify the Intercontinental and WWF Championships.
Yes, this is like the way before the winner takes all, and you got the fans split in half. With you got the Ultimate Warrior fans, you got the Hulkamania fans split in half, and this is like the passing the torch because we all seen it with the biography and Dark Side of the Ring. It was Ultimate Warrior time. It was his time to shine.
That was going on for sir.
I just dropped off my family, and it was not going to be loud. It's not going to be quiet during the show. So I had to keep them out. So what did I miss?
Basically, we just went over to Super Juniors and we did the Supercard redo, and now we're just in the early part of the WWE Championship history.
Yes, the beautiful championship. Well, not this title, but the WWE Championship.
Yes. We're talking about the spreading the wing belt.
Yeah, because now we're just talking about Warrior unifying WrestleMania.
When I was a kid, I thought he was gonna have both the belts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really thought he was gonna have both the belts, but yeah. But one thing I will say about Ultimate Warrior's title reign, it was not that bad.
No.
He had some good heels to work with. Ted DiBiase, Rick Rude,
Rude again.
those. until Sergeant Slaughter and Macho Man. You know, so he didn't have a bad title reign, but the fact that he only had one title reign, that's what's messing him up.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Appreciate. Well, I would say I've forgotten, but he should have a longer title reign or more title reign. But if I compare his championship to NXT title, that was Ultimate Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I take that. I take that.
Yeah, and then of course, fast forward all the way up after some controversial title changes between Sergeant Slaughter, Hulk Hogan, and The Undertaker, all throughout 1991. That would lead to a historic moment where in 1992, the WWF Championship would be awarded to the winner of the Royal Rumble match itself. And of course, we all remember who that would be, the one and only Slick Rick, the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
With a tear in my eye.
Yep.
The greatest
There we go.
day of my life.
We knew we had
You know what? You know, and also let's put this. That put the idea for the winner of the Royal Rumble to be the number one contender at WrestleMania.
Yep.
For the next year, that's when it happened. But what I loved about that is that Rick started at number 3, and
You know
Bobby
what?
Heenan went the fuck off.
Yeah. You know, I have one thing about that. You know what they should have really done if you wanted to really rub it in?
30.
Should have Flair coming at number 4.
Ooh, 4 Horsemen.
Yep.
4.
Yeah.
That would be a big slap to the face.
Well, you think about it, they had 3 of the Horsemen in WWE at the time.
Yeah, that's right, because Arn and Tully a couple years earlier.
Yeah.
There we go.
Am I still there, fellas?
I can hear you, but yeah.
Yeah.
We can still hear you, so that you're good on that aspect.
Am I still here?
Yes.
Yeah.
But your picture's frozen.
Yeah, I'm driving, so it's going to happen.
But that's all right.
It was actually 3 horsemen there. The manager, he was in the office, and Barry Windham came. Well, he was still there. He's about to leave.
Yeah.
He was on the contract.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because Arn, Tully, and Barry were all there at '89. That's right.
Mm.
Yeah. But you know what else is the thing about Ric Flair's Royal Rumble win that really stood out?
God.
Do you remember? And he didn't exactly have a scrub field in there because you had a lot of his rivalries in there. You had Hogan, you had Piper. Of course, for anybody who was world class fans, you remember having Kerry Von Erich when up there. Then of course later rivals to Macho Man.
His future rival, Macho Man. Sid Vicious, who actually got history with the Horsemen.
Yeah, got that too. And then of course, another future rival and a man who would ultimately retire him. Yeah, Shawn Michaels.
Wow.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, ironically enough, Michael's first appearance since the Rockers broke up. Of course, like I said, Undertaker is involved. Yeah, Jake the Snake. And like I said, there's a lot of heavy hitters in that match. But the fact that Flair came to number 3, lasted an hour, and ultimately walked away with the gold. And I tell you, that's definitely something. And like you brought up, Bobby Heenan's commentary was the creme de la creme of the match.
It really do, and I would say this. I think that's one of the best championship title match in history since I guess you could throw in Roman Reigns. We defended the title Royal Rumble. You could put in, of course, we definitely go talk about this one upcoming in this part. CM Punk and John Cena,
Yep.
and of course the good old Iron Man match. But with that one, I think that will go down with one of the most iconic championship matches in history because you gotta go through all 29 competitors to win the WWE Championship. That's really tough and challenging and very very exciting because anybody in that Royal Rumble, even a young Shawn Michael, could have been a WWF champion.
Yep, that's true. And you think about how many guys up there never got a chance to get a chance at the title. Well, the Royal Rumble was there. And you think about some other rivalries Ric Flair might have potentially had because remember, since Hill, you brought up the AWA earlier. Remember, Ric Flair, Rick Martel, I believe, had an NWA versus AWA championship
Hmm.
match, or just a champion versus champion showdown. Of course, Sergeant Slaughter, of course, being up in the AWA at the time. Um, yeah, so there was definitely a lot of crossing if you were a big wrestling fan at that point, even back in the 90s. Like, but then, of course, after Macho Man, we get a second run. But then we would see something that we kind of weren't used to, and that was the championships changing hands at house shows. Of course, Ric Flair wind up regaining it from Macho Man with a lot of help from Razor Ramon. But then we would have a real new era start just a month later when Bret Hitman Hart up in Saskatoon, yeah, would capture his championship for the first time.
What a
Yes.
happy birthday. That happened right on my birthday.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember like there was a lot of surprise with that one because I remembered waking up that following weekend. I was hearing, "What? We got a new champion," and then hearing Brett's music, I like flipped out because I was like, "Whoa, Hitman getting the gold!" I was like
This is
surprised,
way
but I was like, it was cool though.
this is way before social media, and the only way to find out is watching a superstar challenge or a wrestling challenge. That's the only way you could find out. But if they would have a social media back in them days, it'd be a whole different. Or check out, or even a newspaper. Look at newspaper. Ty changed hand at WF. That would have been huge. But then again, history repeats itself. We saw Ty change hand in house show like ECW. We saw Ty
All right.
change hand. Everything else.
Yep. All right. Then of course the man who would run 1993, the late great Yokozuna.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah, he will run it all the way from WrestleMania 9 to WrestleMania 10 until the Hitman will regain it back as vengeance for losing the title 1 year earlier. But then, yeah, and then where the WWF finally started officially using the new generation thing, although they kind of loosely did it like in 93 or whatever, but yeah, this was like the official start of the new generation. Bret Hart leading the way all the way up until Survivor Series, where Bob Backlund would regain the championship after, what was it?
And
After 11 and a half years, different time span.
yeah. Before Bret Hart even lose the title, we did see Owen Hart did had his title at one point. There was some footage.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, but then they reversed it because of Anvil interfering.
yeah, unfortunate. Yeah, Bob Backlund got his title back. Still up in the age, but he looked great during that time. And plus, in '94, anybody could be a champion, and the fans was happy. Some people,
But
until 3 days later, there's a man named called Diesel beat him in buku of seconds,
yep,
pin the fastest pin ever, and he became the WWF champion and hold it for almost a year.
yeah, yeah, just kick, jackknife, boom. That was it. And of course, Big Daddy Cool driving away. Yeah, all the way until Survivor Series the following year, where Bret Woodring, where the Hitman would become a 3-time champ. But that will last all the way till WrestleMania 12, where the boyhood dream would come true for the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and perhaps, yeah, at one point in time voted the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. Of course, that would be an Iron Man match. And I had to say, like, this one definitely changed the main event landscape because now, to your point you brought up earlier, this is where you really started to see, and well, with the exception of maybe the Savage Flair runs as well. Savage Flair and the first run Brett had. This was now where you started seeing the athletic champions come about, and the really good workers hold the title.
This was all about athleticism. Athleticism was all about what can you do in the ring and storytelling. That's what we see from Shawn Michaels. Psycho said he was a straight up monster, and not only that, it was a perfect time to be a fan. And that's how I was introduced to WWF with the championship. And to be honest, that's when WWF was in the war of Nitro, or shall I say,
Yep.
start of the war of Nitro.
Yeah, the Monday Night Wars.
Yes,
And there's also something else we should mention. That this was a really dark time for the WWF, especially like when to date back to Brett's second run as champion. That if we all remember, this is also the time where the WWF was on trial for steroids at this point in time. So for Brett to really hold the company down during this tough time, yeah, and still like wind up making money goes to the testament of what he did, but also having a strong strong co-main eventer in Yokozuna, and then Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, yeah, and even Diesel. Like in the later part of the year, I was like, yeah, definitely had some guys that, yeah, held it throughout the new generation.
Group of people who held it down. Yokozuna, Bret Hart, Shawn Michael, Diesel, or shall I say, the Click.
Yeah.
Owen the Heartbridge, the Bulldog, 1-2-3 Kid.
Yeah.
Who else? Danny Yankem or Isaac Yankem.
And as much I may not want to admit it, Jarrett. Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett. Oh, not Jeff. Oh yeah, Jeff Jarrett and Jerry King Lawler.
Yep.
And not only that, let's see. I was thinking about New Generation era did cross paths with ECW at the time, but I'm like later '97 at the time.
Yeah. So it was like just the hair before the Attitude Era.
Yes, just the prelude of the Attitude Era.
Yep. And of course, we mentioned that was between Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Psycho Sid holding that one. Then WrestleMania 13, it would be the era of the Dead Man. Yeah, finally getting his due. Undertaker would recapture the championship, all the way to SummerSlam, where one accidental chair shot from Shawn Michaels would help Bret Hart capture his fifth and final title. But then, of course, we all know what that would ultimately lead to.
Yes, the infamous Montreal screw job, one of the most talked about finish in pro wrestling history. Very interesting champ. Well, it was a good championship match until up to that point. But if the Montreal screw job didn't happen and just let them wrestle, I think it will be one of the greatest match or greatest rematch for a while because it's been what a year in the making.
Yeah, over here.
Yeah, so that'd be one hell of a good main event, but it was pretty much overshadowed by the controversial ending with the well known of today, the Montreal screw job. Will we see it again in this era? Hell no. It been parody, but actual screw job, no, it'd be too much of a blowback for the fans and the company to do that again of this era.
Yeah, and then of course, after that, then we see the era of Austin 316. Yeah, of course, at WrestleMania 14 with the little help from Iron Mike Tyson. Yeah. Of course, now we go to the Attitude Era title. yeah, then yeah, and then of course, yeah, Austin after dominating most of 1998 as champion, and then of course one of his greatest rivals, The Rock.
Yes, The Rock, Steve Austin era, Rock and Steve Austin feud, one of the great feud in the Attitude era, and also Austin introduced the Smoking Skull title, one of the nice
Yep.
titles ever. But in the Attitude era, it was a good run. It was a good championship run, and also great title design for this title, which I have in my possession. And I'm not gonna bring all the WWE Championship; it'd be too
Yep.
much. But but for this title, we look at this championship, you look at that Attitude era, and you think a lot of people would hail this title. Uh, Surprisingly, the list is short.
Yeah,
Like you got Stone Cold, Rock, Kane,
yeah,
Undertaker, Triple H, Mankind, Big Show, Kurt Angle,
yep. To a
and
point, Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho, but it'd be reverse.
Yeah,
Vince McMahon,
yeah,
and that was about it. That's 10.
yeah. Well, mostly because that era was, like I said, in '98 it was mostly Austin and The Rock. Then, of course, Mankind a little bit factored in between as we go into '99. Which, by the way, also reminds us of another historic moment. um, yeah. Even though this match was recorded at the tail end of '98, yeah. On the very first Raw of 1999, Mankind would defeat The Rock to become the new WWF champion. Now, why do I say that's a historic moment, you might ask? Because my brother over here used a little phrase a little earlier that was made famous by one Tony Schiavone. Although technically it was Eric Bischoff saying and telling him to say it, but yeah, y'all remember.
That was
Yeah,
for Buster Seats.
yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
with Tony Schiavone actually admitting that Mick Foley would become the champion. And of course, a la what Bischoff had frequently done on Nitro by giving away Raw results, except this time it finally backfired on him.
yeah, that's one of the rarest moments of you shouldn't done that. Or stay in your own lane
Yep.
because if they had not say that, WCW still be reigning. those two still would be here to this day.
And not to mention, if they also didn't do a little,
Oh yeah, the finger poke of doom.
yeah,
Ooh. And
yeah,
then
all
W.
this,
Ooh.
yeah. But anywho, and then we'd also get another great moment in time. We would have the first ever halftime heat.
Mm. The empty arena match for the WWF Championship, Rock and Mankind.
Yep.
That will go down one of the most entertaining match I've seen since Sting and Kurt Angle and TNA in an empty arena match. We've seen empty arenas, but they did it. But no, they did it during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's something that no one ever done before until what 2 years ago when NXT did the same thing.
Yeah.
The halftime heat with NXT.
Yeah.
But for this one, it's something special, and they did it at the right time, right era. They did it against the right team. It was like the
Broncos and the Falcons.
Broncos, the Falcons, the two teams. I won't say they do care because at the time you got John Elway.
Yeah, and what would eventually be his final game.
Yeah. So that'd be most talked about. Like, you know what? Let's up the ante. Let's have the Rock and Mankind fight each other in an empty arena, halftime heat during the halftime. So it was a smart move. Will we see that again? They did before a couple years back, but are they gonna do it again this time or next year or so? I wish.
Space it out.
Yeah, unless it's NXT, that's the only way I can see that happening.
Yeah, and then of course, like 1999 filled with another historic moment. Like after Austin would regain the title, it'll ultimately take us to July, where there was a first blood match, but it'll also, well, at least for a couple months, be the end of an era, as thanks to Stone Cold making the Undertaker bleed at Fully Loaded, it would actually be bye-bye Vince McMahon. Temporarily.
Yeah, that's even though it become true, but yeah, that was a great title match. Very unique match in the first blood match for the Undertaker and Steve Austin and Fully Loaded, which great pay-per-view. It's a good story, and plus it's almost involved around Austin, the Undertaker, and Vince McMahon and the WWE Championship. I would say an afterthought, but it was a second important piece of it back at the time.
By the way, we should also mention that there was also a stipulation the other way that had Austin bled first, then he would have never ever been allowed to challenge for the WWE Championship in his career.
Yeah, that was huge. With a storyline like that, that was really, really huge.
Yep. And then of course, following month on the SummerSlam, on the Raw after SummerSlam, yep. Yeah, it would be the rise of the game. Yep. As Triple H would capture his first WWF Championship. But that would be short-lived when, thanks to a little help from Stone Cold Steve Austin, and yes, folks, we did say this once and we're going to say it again, Vince McMahon became WWF champion.
Yeah, that was a interesting time on SmackDown. Seeing the Boss become the own champion, which is not the last time we've seen that until ECW, the do-rag. But with this one, it was story driven because them two been feuding with each other for a very, very long time until Armageddon. But for Triple H become the WWE champion, I mean, his promo, My Time, and of course his biography with DX, he knew he had to be the next guy in line because he been overlooked. He'd been punished because of the whole curtain
Kurt
call.
calling him.
So with this one, this is his moment, this is his time, and plus the Attitude Era locker room was they're clamoring to be on top. They're more of a shark infested water, like they all like to say. And they feel like this is his time, and when him doing it, he must be the champion.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then after a minor run for the Big Show, then of course, yeah, the 2000s were all pretty much Triple H and The Rock until October, when your Olympic gold medalist, your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, would become champion.
Kurt Angle, I think he's one of the best Attitude Era champion during that time period because he came a long way. Oh yes, only gold medalist, and also he used a 3i to become the WWF champion.
And
He was
and one of two people to be the Euro Continental champion.
yes, it could be D'Lo Brown, but that's a different story.
Yeah. And
But,
D'Lo did hold it first, though. So.
Yeah, he did, and hopefully he be the Hall of Fame in Philly. Yeah. Yeah, Kurt Angle was a WWE champion, and he did it in a great time in the Attitude Era because he was more of a Olympic hero, and he did it in year 2000. That was a fun year, I would say. And you know what's crazy? Kurt Angle fought Taz, and it was the same year when he won the WWE Championship.
Yeah.
So,
and here's something to think about. That completed one of the best damn years in professionals. Because let's remember, Kurt, Intercontinental Champion, European Champion, King of the Ring, and WWE Champion within his rookie year in the WWE.
probably the most fastest rising star we ever seen since, I want to say, Brock Lesnar at that time.
Well, Lesnar would be a couple of years after, but at that time, yeah, I'd have had to think about who I would have probably given that accolade to. But yeah, Angle definitely rose up, and then of course, yeah, much 2001 will be Rock, Austin, and Angle, and let's go to Austin because we thought that September of 1999 was a cold day in hell. And no offense to the In Your House pay-per-view that happened in May of 97. But boy, WrestleMania 17, the moment nobody thought they would see. Vince McMahon helping Stone Cold Steve Austin win. And not only that, but then shaking hands afterwards.
That's one of the rare WrestleMania moments right there. Seeing Vince McMahon shaking Stone Cold hands, and people were split. People was like, Steve Austin should stay babyface, give Vince McMahon a stunner, and walk away happy. Other will say it was a good ending. Kind of like compared to Cody Rhodes, but a different scenario. But for this one, great build up. Like, that's one of the greatest build up we've seen in WrestleMania for a very long time. And plus a long awaited rematch for the title.
Mm-hmm.
So with him winning that title in his own hometown and become a heel, very iconic.
Yeah, and then of course, like I said, and then after trading the title with Kurt Angle, then we would close out 2001 with an undisputed champion. Of course, with the WCW title being acquired by the WWE, and then of course being just renamed the World Title. Of course, we have at Vengeance, Austin versus Angle, Rock versus Jericho. The winners of those two matches going on to become undisputed champion. And when all was said and done, break down the walls. Y2J finally ascended to the top of the mountain.
That was a very, very historic event because they had the crown world champion, undisputed champion. Because at the time WWF had lots of titles, which I don't mind with WWE title, but they need to crown the undisputed champion, and I wish they still would have keep the title separate, which they did later on down the road. But Chris Jericho becoming the undisputed champion is very historic, and not only that, right off the bat he become the Grand Slam champion. Like he have won every single title until he become the undisputed champion, and it solidify him as a main event. And plus, he can say that the rest of his career that he beat Stone Cold and The Rock at the same time and under one night, in which no one can take that away from Chris Jericho.
Nope. All right, then that would take us to 2002. Yeah, of course, for Triple H, after suffering a quad injury in a tag match, ironically, against Jericho and Austin and Benoit. Yeah, Triple H regained the title, but then only a month later, for the first time in 9 years, Hulk Hogan would regain the title. He would lose to The Undertaker, who would lose to The Rock. But then SummerSlam 2002, it was the arrival of the next big thing as the Beast Brock Lesnar would ascend and become champion for the first time.
The Undisputed Championship, the version 1, because it was a little bit smaller until Brock Lesnar got it, the version 2.
1!
Man. The title was almost become a little bit potato-y. That new word, potato-y. And then Brock Lesnar, he got the title. He made a title legit. He made a title prestige after he defeated The Rock, which The Rock on his way out to Hollywood. But what was so great about that is during that run, we got the draft. And when Brock Lesnar get drafted to SmackDown, the title become the WWE Championship, in which that's one of the best title designs we've seen. And that title was the focus point of SmackDown. If you think about SmackDown during the Ruthless Aggression era, you think about that title. You think about that title, you think about Brock, Kurt, The Undertaker,
JBL.
Yeah, JBL, of course, Eddie Guerrero, long list, and of course, this baby.
Yeah. Okay. And as fact, speaking of which, yeah, after Brock's run, Big Show would get another run. Ironically enough, both of his runs as WWE champion began at Survivor Series. Yeah, then of course Kurt Angle would regain it, and then 2003 would see Angle and Lesnar trade titles, and then all the way up to 2004, No Way Out. Yep, Latino Heat.
Oh yes.
Burns his way to the top. Eddie Guerrero, with a little assist from Goldberg, would defeat Brock Lesnar and become champion.
That title, I think, still, but on my wall, I might get it. But it's one of the most historic match ever, one of the most impactful title match ever, because Eddie Guerrero overcome a lot of odds. Even his promo before No Way Out still stand of time. And him winning the WWE Championship, and he got a lot of people stand up at the same time. Different race, different culture, rooting for the guy because we can relate to him. We can understand him. Relatable. kind of like the exact same vibe as Hulk Hogan when he won the WWE Championship from Iron Sheik. See everybody rooting and cheer for him. Uh, Same thing with Stone Cold Steve Austin when he won a title from Shawn Michaels. This right here, exact same thing. When Eddie Guerrero won a championship, we felt his spirit. We felt like we the one, not like the Uso, but but we feel like we with him when he won the championship. So
Yep.
it's very historic with that title.
Yep. And then, of course, you mentioned the history of the WWE Championship on SmackDown. And, of course, the man who held it the longest during the Ruthless Aggression era, the Wrestling God, JBL. Which, by the way, I had to say, this was one of the most shocking transformations I had seen. Because, remember, this man was just in the APA a couple months ago prior to this, and now becoming John Bradshaw Layfield, yeah, now a businessman tycoon, and now going on defeating a white hot Eddie Guerrero to become a WWE champion.
Yeah, he's a true heel that I really dislike. Not as a person, but as a character. He probably go down with the greatest heel in WWE history since Triple H and Randy Orton. But for him, he's more of Ted DiBiase-esque type of heel. The type of guy you would hate, the type of guy you want him to lose the title. That type of vibe. And each match you see him, you want to see him lose the title, including him against The Undertaker at SummerSlam 04 for the WWE Championship. I really thought Undertaker would win that title. JBL and Big Show 05 and No Way Out in a Barbed Wire Steel Cage match with Big Show. And where he fight John Cena. Oh, I was rooting for him to win that title, and sure enough, he did.
Yep. And ultimately, we get to right there, John Cena, of course, WrestleMania 21. Yep, the first of 16 championships held by the Dr. Thug, and he's the leader of the C Nation and all the other stuff. So, and he would go on to hold it until the Money in the Bank was finally used by the Rated R superstar. Yep, Edge would have his first run as WWE champion, setting up one of 2006's greatest rivalries in WWE.
Oh yeah, Edge and John Cena match, or shall I say feud, they carry that feud. They carry that whole entire year. And with this championship title and plus the design, let's not forget this title have stayed a long time, longer than any other title we've seen in WWE history. Spinner version, the lock version, and rated R version. But for this one with Edge, this is the first time to shine. And let's not forget about the sex celebration that we all enjoy. And truly,
especially that cameraman that caught Lita, but that's another.
We should put that cameraman in the Hall of Fame for that angle because no one can do better like that cameraman. But Edge title reign got cut short. And fortunately, it was unfair because I would like to see Edge in his first time around run into WrestleMania as a WWE champion, but they didn't give him the ball for that one. But if you were talking about 2006, we gotta talk about one of the greatest title change in hand in history. We talking about the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam.
Yep, that's right. ECW One Night Stand Van Dam. And by the way, this was one of the rare times when Money in the Bank was actually announced when the cash-in was going to happen. Yeah, and then RVD, Hammerstein Ballroom, New York City. Thanks to a little interference from Edge. Yeah, the fans said the fans did not have to riot because Cena didn't win. Yeah, to Yeah,
Yeah.
RVD with the 5-star frog splash, and of course he would become champion. But unfortunately, that would be short lived.
Yeah, because they like Stephen A. Smith, stay off the weed, and that cost him the title, and have him lose the title on Raw with Edge and Cena, and Edge walk with the title, and after that, Edge and Cena rekindle the feud and lead up towards to forget Unforgiven in a TLC match with Cena and Edge in his hometown. Another banger. And then, unfortunately, Cena got injured, and we enter the age of Orton when he become the WWE champion.
Yeah, now this is interesting because Orton would win the title via forfeit, but then to have to defend it against Triple H a couple. Yeah, would lose to Triple H, then regain it back. Yeah, in a last man standing match. And mind you, this was after Triple H had defended the title against Umaga earlier in the night. So yeah, this against starting in the age of Orton. And it would take all the way up to like Backlash of 2008 when Triple H would win in a 4-way involving Cena and JBL. And then, of course, then after a returning Edge would win the title, then came a moment that fans had been hoping for, but personal issues were kind of interfering in a way that, but Armageddon 2008, yeah, the personal issues would not be a detriment this time, as Jeff Hardy would become champion for the first time.
That was a great, wonderful moment for Jeff Hardy and become the WWE champion. Also become the Grand Slam champion finally.
Yeah.
And for the guy we root for, the guy we ride out for him, he finally captured his dream, become the WWE champion. Right along with Matt Hardy, who was the ECW champion at the time, because I remember the picture. But for Jeff Hardy to do that, defeat not only Triple H but Edge in a triple threat match, that was huge. That was huge. That was organic. But it didn't last too long because he lost the title next month at the Royal Rumble against Edge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only one big problem is I wish he would have had that title a little bit longer.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. But then Edge actually be part of history because he would lose the title in the Elimination Chamber matchup, but then it would finish the night as the World Heavyweight Champion. But meanwhile, Triple H, Randy Orton rekindled their feud. And then, even though he had been a World Heavyweight Champion, Batista, he would wind up defeating Orton to become world champion for the first time.
Yep. That was a good steel cage match at Extreme Rules between Batista and Randy Orton. Two former Revolution members fighting each other for the title and him winning the title. But unfortunately, he got injured. I don't know why, but he got injured.
Yeah, triceps again. And then, of course, Randy Orton would regain the title in a 4-way against Big Show, Cena, and Triple H on Raw. And then, of course, the Cena-Orton rivalry would continue through Breaking Point, Hell in a Cell, and Bragging Rights. And then TLC 2009, an unexpected table break by the champ would then give the gold to the Celtic Warrior Sheamus.
That was his first major title in his run for the WWE. And the way John Cena fell to the table, that was very goofy. but Sheamus deserved it in his run. And he got pushed so fast, so quickly. But it was a good time for 2009 in which we was entering the PG era.
Yep.
Good God Almighty!
Yep.
But yeah, that was
Yeah, after Cena and Batista, Sheamus would trade the title, and then of course Randy Orton. Then, thanks to a Money in the Bank cash in, The Miz would actually go on to become WWE champion, and of course we would have one of the most memorable fan reactions of all time. And,
the Miz girl.
yep. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, poor little Kaylee.
Yeah, Miz was a. I would say he's one of the good. He was a good heel. He was a really good heel champion. Um, I think he was unappreciated at the time, but when his title run was very entertaining because I never forget his title run towards WrestleMania.
Mhm.
That was a good feud, good match between him and Cena,
Yeah.
ruined by The Rock. But it was a good look. It was a good run for him.
Yep. And then, of course, Cena would eventually get the title back at Extreme Rules. But then, in Chicago, on Punk's allegedly final day in WWE, yeah, he would kiss Vince McMahon goodbye with capturing the WWE title in his hometown of Chicago. But then, yeah, we'd find out, yeah, Punk wasn't really going anywhere.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know why he did that, but yeah, that match, the CM Punk versus John Cena, Money in the Bank, for this beautiful, prestigious title. I'm still love the title design. Um, it's going down one of the most greatest hype, greatest turnaround in WWE history because when CM Punk did a pipe bomb, all eyes was on WWE. At the time, nobody cared about WWE. Nobody. Until CM Punk shakes it up. And the hype and the build around that Money in the Bank pay-per-view in Chicago for the WWE Championship. That built the hype, the match. It was the exact same level as WrestleMania 17. It was the level of any other big event. But with CM Punk defeat John Cena, and he did the iconic blow the kiss to Vince McMahon picture, it was iconic. It was one of the most iconic moments right there. And if I can compare it to anything else, I think I can compare that to not Coffee Mania, but Shawn Michael when he won the title at WrestleMania 12, and you see him sitting down and holding to that title.
Mhm.
I can compare that with CM Punk sitting in the Chicago crowd, holding to that title, and give that kiss, the blow kiss.
Mhm.
You can't top that. You can't really. There's no other picture you could top that moment.
Yeah, and then while we were led to believe Punk would be out the company by then, of course there was minor champion crown, and that would be held by Rey Mysterio, although he had to defend it later in the same night against John Cena and an L. But then when Cena was done celebrating, we hear call of personality, and here comes CM Punk rocking it with the WWE Championship.
Mm-hmm. And leading up towards SummerSlam for the Undisputed Championship, the real true Undisputed WWE Championship. Um, the hype wasn't as much, but the match was great. Until Kevin Nash comes in and checking that powerbomb him, and of course the name we probably mentioned for the first time, Alberto Del Rio.
Yep.
cash in and become the champion.
Yep, it's the Money in the Bank. And of course, he and Cena would then trade the title back before until Del Rio would go to Madison Square Garden and the beginning of a 434-day title reign would begin. And I'll be right back because I'm going to get me soon.
All right. So yes, CM Punk, 434 days of title reign. When he held this title, he made it title prestige. I remember all his title matches. CM Punk versus Jericho, CM Punk versus John Cena. I mean, all his title reign, he defended, and even a triple threat match with Cena and Big Show and CM Punk and SummerSlam. His title reign was very awesome. He made title prestige, and he wrestled every single day. Raw, SmackDown, and even house show. With him doing that, he's a real true definition of the champion. Even he got Paul Heyman by his side. So that would make the title so great and so special.
There you go. Yeah, and then of course, a moment that was 10 years plus in the making. Of course, all good things come to an end, and unfortunately for Punk, his would come to the end at the Royal Rumble of 2013 when The Rock, after 10 long years, would finally become champion again.
Yeah, but when I saw that, I'm like, why? Like, why they did that? Why they took the title away from CM Punk? But I get it. I understand why they're doing that. And for a minute, I thought we getting a triple threat match, but nope, we did not get that. We did get the championship match between The Rock and John Cena.
Yep, of course. Yeah, twice in a lifetime.
Yes. Before he did that, he unveiled a new WWE Championship.
Yep.
In which it didn't stay in too long, but it was very impressive, and he decided to throw away the Spirit Belt and bring in the new championship belt, and the fans was overjoyed.
Yep. All right, and then of course, Cena will wind up winning this one at WrestleMania 29, and then that'll take us to SummerSlam in one of the most amazing matches ever, and the man who a year and a half ago was probably one of the most hated champions in WWE, at least world heavyweight champions. Yeah, but now he will finally get the big gold. Daniel Bryan, would become WWE champion at SummerSlam. Clean victory over John Cena, even with Triple H as the special guest referee.
That's where the Yes movement started from there, because relatable, the guy who we rooting for, the guy who we consider him as the best, Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan, and for him doing it, it was a great move. Until Randy Orton decided to cash in and beat him for the title.
Yeah, and remember we brought up Triple H being a referee for Cena vs. Bryan. He would also pedigree Daniel Bryan, allowing Orton to have that cash in. And of course, that would set them to going round and round all the way till WrestleMania 30. Yep, where of course in a triple threat match involving Batista, Orton would lose the title, even though he wasn't involved in the decision. And if I could borrow Jerry King Lawler's line, WrestleMania became Yes-omania.
WrestleMania 30. Whew. But yes, the main event was great. The main event was that was a make it or break it for WrestleMania because built the whole streak.
Yeah.
But for this one, for the triple threat match, it was a celebration in New Orleans
Yep.
for Daniel Bryan. Okay, Daniel Bryan. Keep on saying Bryan
Yep.
Danielson. Daniel
Yeah.
Bryan. uh, Great ending. Great triple threat match. Uh,
Mhm.
great spirit like WrestleMania 20.
Yep.
So,
Fortunately, Brian would yeah, suffer injury and he'd be forced to vacate it. By the way, we should mention something else before I get too deep into this one. And actually, I should have mentioned it during Orton's reign. Remember that the World Heavyweight title was actually unified with the WWE Championship. So during that reign of Randy Orton's going into WrestleMania 30. So we had
mhm.
that. Then of course, Money in the Bank 2014, Cena will wind up winning a a ladder match for that undisputed title, but that would lead to the most lopsided WWE Championship match in recent history when Brock Lesnar decimated John Cena at SummerSlam.
Yeah, that was a sweep. And I would never forget that match. Brock Lesnar to give him the most suplex we ever seen. Was a year before the Suplex City ever started.
Um, well, technically, that match started it, but yeah, you're right.
But
It,
that was ass whooping.
yeah, and of course, Lesnar will hold the title all the way to that aforementioned WrestleMania, and of course, where he would coin the phrase "Suplex City, bitch."
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, but unfortunately for Brock, yeah, there was something that he didn't what's the word I would use? Oh, he didn't bank on.
Yes, the greatest heist that ever took place. Seth Rollins, who running hard as hell to cash in to pin Roman Reigns.
Yeah, the heist of the century and the first Money in the Bank. Actually, still to this day, the only Money in the Bank cash in that actually happened at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yep. And of course, Seth Rollins. Actually, little history with this one. Midway through his reign, Rollins would also unify the WWE title with the United States title for a brief period before losing it back. And then, of course, Rollins would get injured and be stripped of the WWE title, leading up to the second time a Survivor Series would have a WWE Champion crowned tournament style. And of course, this would finally lead to Roman Reigns getting his first run as champion.
Yeah. That's back then. That's before the whole bloodline and everything else. He was Roman Reigns, the big dog, when he became the WWE champion. But it was quickly cut short by Sheamus, who cashed in on Roman Reigns. And oddly enough, this is the second time he got cashed in on
Yep.
and lose the title. Well, he didn't lose it. Well,
Well,
WrestleMania
he got pinned.
pin, but didn't win the title. But around Survivor Series, he won the title, then lose the title by cash in.
Hmm.
So technically, he was the first man in history to get cashed on in two different occasions.
No, technically, Cena did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But actually, you know what was funny about this cash in? Because it actually mimicked the Daniel Bryan incident, but Roman saw through it. and actually speared Triple H, but unfortunately turned right into a brew kick, and that allowed the cash in. And of course, yeah, but yeah, and of course, promoted the marketable Sheamus 515 shirts.
Oh yeah.
Then of course Roman would wind up regaining the title on a Raw and filling, and then that would lead to the Royal Rumble the following month in Orlando, where Triple H, as the number 30th entrant, would become a 14th champion and a 9-time WWE champion.
Yeah, that Royal Rumble, that was very interesting. I said earlier, probably the greatest Royal Rumble match ever compared to Ric Flair. But the big difference is Ric Flair won the vacated title, or Roman Reigns had to defend that title against 29 other competitors.
Yep.
And that story itself was very, very interesting because it could go either way, in which it did. Triple H won the WWE Championship, eliminate Roman Reigns, and he got a huge pop because at the time people was not feeling Roman Reigns. Even he was a babyface, people did not embrace him in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as a matter of fact, yeah. Yeah, as a matter of fact, if you want proof of that, go watch WrestleMania 32 when Roman regained the title. Yeah. But then, a moment that would be an infamy. We go to Money in the Bank. Roman would lose to his former Shield mate, Seth Rollins, making this the second time Seth would pin Roman to become WWE champion. But Rollins would get a taste of his own medicine when Dean Ambrose would cash in the Money in the Bank, become the champion, and making a little bit of subtle history as all three members of the Shield would hold the WWE Championship on the same night.
That was very historic, and I use that word very loosely because you see all three guys coming together, all three guys become champions, and ending the note with all three guys, one losing the WWE Championship, one winning the WWE Championship, and losing it, and then one winning the WWE Championship, all the same night.
Yeah.
Roman lose, Seth win to lose, and Dean win, and all three walk away with a big. Well, one of them walk with a big win and make history. So I don't think we ever see that again unless New Day would do the same thing, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah, then of course, yeah, that would take to Backlash in September, where the phenomenal AJ Styles would have the first of his 2 runs as WWE champion.
That was his crowning moment when he became the WWE champion. Backlash on his first brand extension, returning of the brand extension, and not only that, that was the first match of the pay-per-view. Ironically, it's crazy, but AJ Styles wins, and it was a great moment of his career.
Hold on. Nah, that one wasn't the Nah, that one wasn't the first match. What was the first? Oh, wait a minute. Nah, when he defended the title in the opening match, it was him, Ambrose, and Cena in a triple threat at No Mercy.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I got that two mixed up. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because they were probably the month after. Yeah, because it was the month after, but yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Then of course, yeah, Styles would go on to hold until Cena would win his 16th and to date final championship at the Royal Rumble in what was a hell of a match and a hell of a part to the trilogy that they've had to this point because yeah, Styles and Cena just like lit it up at San Antonio.
I think that's the time where they did beat up Cena. Oh, lead to that point. Yeah, that was a good run for OCs.
Yep. Then of course Cena's run would be short lived because then in the Elimination Chamber in Phoenix a couple weeks later, yep, follow the buzzards. Bray Wyatt would become the WWF champion for the first time.
Bray Wyatt, is old saying, you deserved it. But Bray Wyatt deserved that world championship, and him going to WrestleMania was very, very interesting. But him winning the championship, historic moment.
Yep. Yeah, but of course, that would be short lived when he would lose the title to Randy Orton. But Orton wouldn't have long to celebrate because at Backlash the following month, yeah, and perhaps one of the most shocking WWE title changes, he would lose to Jinder Mahal.
Jinder Mahal could have been a great heel, but turn to find out it was like testing the market for India by WWE. But I ain't gonna lie, he was a very interesting heel champion.
Modern day Maharaja.
Yes. And I just wish Nakamura would win that title, but we all know the story about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jinder Mahal was a great heel champion. He was almost JBL-ish, but he was more of a regular foreign heel type of guy.
Yep. And then on, let's see. And now for a historic title change on two different aspects. Yeah, for the first time in, let's see, 8 years, the WWE title changed hands outside of the United States. Yeah, when it would change place in England, and it would also be the first time. Oh, Lord, this one I'm really going to have to look up. All right, since the Iron Man matchup with Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, that's 2003. So, first time in. Oh, what was this one? First time in 14 years, the WWE Championship changed hands on SmackDown as the phenomenal AJ Styles would regain the title, but then he would go on to have a 371-day reign ended at the hands of the new Daniel Bryan. Yeah, and of course, remember that damn hemp belt. Yeah.
Yeah, the Eagle friendly title, which I don't have, thank God.
Yeah. But then that would lead to one of the most historic moments ever, Kofi Mania.
The Kofi Mania, or should I say the road to Mania for Kofi, was very, very challenging. It was very, very inspiring because Kofi Kingston won the championship. He made the whole world feel happy. I even see the video with MVP and Shad Gaspar, R.I.P. to Shad, crying in the club for the people seeing Kofi Kingston win the title and making history. I mean, it was a very historic night, and Kofi Kingston put up one great match between him and Bryan Danielson. that was a feel good moment, feel good story for Kofi. And his title reign was really, really great. Uh, I wish he got his title back, but unfortunately, then October 4th of 2019, this shit happens.
Yeah. Yep. On the first episode of SmackDown on Fox. Yep. Brock Lesnar would end the reign of Kofi Kingston, become champion, and yeah, that's all we need to say about that.
Yeah.
And then as we enter the pandemic era, yeah, Drew McIntyre finally, after 18 years, yeah, he will finally become the chosen one and become the new WWE champion.
Whew, that was a that was a very interesting year for WWE, for pandemic. Winning the championship in that performance center with no crowd, it felt surreal. We look at WrestleMania,
Mhm.
but he did earn that title. Great match, great storytelling, but he won a championship. Kind of like y'all compared it to the bubble championship with the Lakers, in which they still won a championship.
Yeah.
But Drew McIntyre deserved that push.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that would go all the way to October in Hell in a Cell when Randy Orton, actually now I believe this would have been the last of his 10 reigns as WWE champion. And let's see, how many does Orton have? How many does Orton have overall? 13 or 14?
He have check.
Yeah. I want to say 14 because I think he's tied with Triple H.
He got see, he's a 10-time WWE champion.
Yeah, it's 14.
Okay, 14. Yeah, I guess you guess the World Heavyweight Championship. Okay.
Yeah. All right, but then after that, McIntyre would regain it on Raw a few weeks after, and then he would lose it to the Miz in Elimination Chamber. But then, just a couple weeks later, actually just 1 week later, Miz would lose it to the almighty Bobby Lashley.
Short, straight to the point, and Bobby Lashley did it. Making history, be a second African American who held the WWE Championship. I wish that was very, very impressive, and his title reign was really, really great and awesome. So can't talk bad about Bobby.
Yeah, especially considering he was the first black champion to if you don't count The Rock, to walk into WrestleMania as the champion. But definitely the first one to not only walk in but also walk out champion.
Oh yes, WrestleMania when the crowds come back and through the whole pandemic, that was a historic, and everybody was on the panic mode. We all thought Bobby gonna lose, but when he won the title, retained the title, we was so rejoiced of Bobby, the great, the big almighty.
Yep. And then speaking of little black history, we had the first all black Money in the Bank cash in Big E. Yeah, Big E finally cashing in and becoming champion. So now he had 2/3 of the New Day as champion, which, by the way, we're still pulling for you, brother.
Oh yeah, this is coming probably next year or so, but it's coming.
But then stop me if you heard this one. Stop me if this one sounds familiar. New Day member as WWE champion, but loses to Brock Lesnar.
Same old shit.
To
And you know what's fucked up? There was a meme out there. Every time a black champion win, Brock Lesnar come out and face him.
yeah.
I'll see that. Dang, that's fucked up, but still, that's the truth. But yeah, day one,
Yep.
Brock Lesnar wins the WWE Championship.
Down in Atlanta. Oh yeah. Then he would lose it to Bobby Lashley at the Royal Rumble, but then after Lashley was injured in the Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia, yeah, Lesnar would finish off the match and would wind up regaining the title. Yep, which would then set up WrestleMania 38 in Dallas, and yep, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns would unify the WWE title with the Universal title. Yep. And by the way, now 392 days as WWE champion, along with the 970 plus days as Universal champion.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he did not break CM Punk record.
Not yet.
Ah, shit. Well, yeah, shit. It won't happen. It won't be effective until Nights of Champion. God damn it. But yeah, the WWE Championship. I mean, list of wrestlers who won it, list of titles, reigns, the title designs. I got my favorites. It's all laying on the bed right now. But if you think about WWE Championship, you think about prestige, and you think about the historic of the title, and if I could say which version is more prestige, of course, I would got to hold this baby.
Mhm.
That's my prestige, and I say it right next to the IWGP Heavyweight Championship version 4 and the NWA Heavyweight Championship, in which to this day that title have not changed design except for the big gold. That's the only time the title changed design. Even that one more prestige, but the WWE Championship was the focal point of pro wrestling, and the only time the title was fall back, or should I say, a secondary title during the Ruthless Aggression era, when the World Heavyweight Championship was a focus point. We were on Raw, and now we see it again with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship and soon to be a Universal title next month or so. But either the secondary or main title, the WWE Championship is an important piece of pro wrestling history. Good and the bad, with the visible champion Twin Noki and lack of black champions. It will come with the good, come with the bad. Still, is part of the history of pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm. And you also think about the moments that go well, even if it wasn't necessarily a match, but you think of, well, of course, Mark Henry in the retirement speech. That wasn't really a retirement speech.
Oh yes, that pink suit.
Yeah. You think of Stone Cold coming in with the beer truck right before WrestleMania 15.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I said, you even think about you even think with Vince bringing out Mike Tyson and announce him as the special guest enforcer for WrestleMania, but then Austin coming out in the big shoving match that happened after that. There's just like so many moments when it came that involved the WWE Championship that it just makes the history of it so much more. And actually, I can name one more, and this could tie us into the final thing we have to talk about. I think of that episode of Raw when Farouk, aka Ron Simmons, was in the ring with Vince McMahon, and he asked him, why aren't there any black men as WWE champion?
Yeah, that's hit home right there, and it took him a while, and to this day, still haven't received that answer. Mm-hmm. And with that one, it timed with the lawsuit.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. They hit with the lawsuit with a racism storyline, and I wish I could probably put this up. But the most craziest one was Monsoon Mansoor involved with the love triangle with Aaliyah, and turned to find out that he was behind at the 9/11. And Bianca Belair talk about take off her earring, saying, "Oh no, no, you didn't." Try to make her look ghetto. Uh, oh, Shane Thorpe. He supposed to be the hunter, and he don't hunt animals. He hunt human. And the first capture is Reggie, and have him locked up in a cage.
Oh.
When I read that, to be honest, I wouldn't say I'll be offensive
Mm.
because in some weird way we saw this shit in a movie called The Pest with John Leguizamo.
Um,
That kind of shit. But in WWE, you cannot pull that shit because we live in the day of cancel culture.
yeah.
And oh, go ahead.
Do you know what? Like, there's like always this catch-22 when we get involved in this one, because on the one hand, yes, wrestling is it's fiction. I'll put it that way.
Mm.
Because you have this is no different than a scripted television show, because you may have actor or even a movie. You may have people portraying a character, and sometimes you touch on subjects that are offensive or can be borderline offensive. But at some point, we've got to like use common sense when we, or WWE has to use common sense when they decide to include these type of things, especially when it comes to race, because you think back to the Kofi Mania storyline, and you think about like all the stuff that Vince had to make Kofi do just to like earn the title shot, even though like he did pin Daniel Bryan just after the Elimination Chamber. Um, and the crowd was clearly chanting for him, and not to mention you didn't even have really anybody challenging at that point in time. So, um, and I think back to, even though it, like I said, I just brought up the interview from Raw in '97 with Farouk. Um, and I know like we kind of joke about this one, but remember Survivor Series, the one time where Vince got out and like said, "Yeah, what's up, my nigga?" in front of Booker, and Booker T overheard it, and it's like, tell me he didn't just say that. Yeah,
Yeah, and not only that, Vince McMahon greenlight everything. And
yeah,
plus, you're a writer. The writer go to the script, and writers go to Vince McMahon, and he said, he gave a green light. The most recent one is Apollo Crews with a Nigerian accent.
mm,
He did that. Well, they did that at the exact same time when Coming to America came out on Amazon Prime.
mm,
And I thought, like, okay, why they're doing this? And Apollo Crews, you could tell he looked so uncomfortable, but he did win the Intercontinental Championship and got in feud with Big E, and he was part in WrestleMania.
mm.
Before that, he was a United States champion, great feud with MVP, but it didn't. I can't say he didn't earn a shot at WrestleMania, but with Apollo Crew with a Nigerian accent, It did go somewhere, but it didn't get him further. Like it was in NXT when he dropped the accent and he got more push than ever. Didn't win no title, but he put up a great match and good character wise, a good character development. Now he backs on Raw, in which I'm very fearful because you have Vince and looming around in the background, and Triple H he pretty much tried to do everything in his power. But with a lawsuit, with discrimination and everything else, are they gonna go forward with it? If they got enough evidence for the script, if it's kind of discriminate or kind of racism, I can see that go forward. But it's very hard to do that because they're in the entertainment business.
Yeah.
And we see it in a TV show, we see that in movie, comic books, video games, and try to do a lawsuit on a scripted show. It is very, very hard unless outside from the script on workplace to say something, discriminating or racism or very sexually, then yeah. But it is very hard to do that in entertainment. Unlike in sports, it's very easy because it's unscripted. You can get in trouble a lot more easier outside entertainment than you in entertainment. So it's
Yeah.
a it's a it's a it's a long shot.
Yeah, and another thing, yeah, and like another thing that we think about, and this doesn't just necessarily involve just black people. We'll talk about this, although we're like amongst the most primary. But you think about how many like bad Latino gimmicks have been given, how many bad Asian gimmicks have been given, and you know, even though to a lesser extent, you kind of also got to look back at how many bad white gimmicks of ethnic proportions, because you think about
Finley.
well, maybe not Finley, but although that could kind of count too. But I was more thinking about how many times you've had people portray Russians, like when the whole Cold War was happening, or basically um
Go for not go for Desert Storm
this
with
yeah
Sergeant
yeah
Slaughter
Slaughter, yeah, portraying an Iraqi sympathizer, yeah, yeah,
with
and it's like, yeah, you take like gimmicks like that, and it's like, yeah, these kind of things go all the way around, and yeah, like I said, even though you're trying to do things from an entertainment aspect, it's kind of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because if you use somebody of ethnicity, then you're kind of accused of racism. But then if you use somebody outside of ethnicity to do it, kind of like like when we had Rodney for all these years being Yokozuna, or
mm,
Ivan Koloff, who, by the way, folks, is actually Canadian, not Russian. Um, yeah, when you do that type of stuff, now it's like, all right, now you're just being stereotypical now.
yeah
Or hell, even with Kofi when you had him be a Jamaican, or like you brought up with Apollo being the Nigerian prince.
those two. I, for playing those roles, unfortunately, it got some gold. Like when Carver Kingston was Jamaican, he won with IC title, US title, and tag team the world tag team title with CM Punk. But when he dropped the accent, he still becomes successful and leading towards the WWE Championship. When he dropped the accent, Apollo Crew, same thing. Now, like Crime Time,
Mhm.
portray as thugs, and they talk this the jive talk. I ain't say that word for a long time.
Mhm.
They didn't get nowhere. However, they almost become the tag team champions at one point, but they never got to the point become successful. Um, shit,
Oh,
LGBTQ.
yeah.
They portray that a lot. I mean, Rico betrayed as an LGBT character, but damn well he's straight.
Yep.
Goldust play
Oh
that way.
Lord. Yeah.
But you know what? Goldust with that era and that persona, he could have been a WWF champion.
Mm.
Could have. Because
Hey,
he was
had shots.
yeah, I mean he had some shocks value. I mean the shit he did in the 90s, you can get away with that. In the 90s, he was safe. Like 90, 95, 96, safe. 97, when you go to Attitude Era, he was lost. And Jerry Kellogg did call him the slur, the F word slur.
Yeah. Oh no, he called him that in '96.
Like,
That's how he became a babyface in the first place.
of course, he said that shit twice. Okay. Because what I'm talking about, he was for him like the King of the Ring qualifying match.
Yeah.
Okay. And damn, 96.
Yeah,
He got away.
because they was doing King's Court at that time.
He got lucky. WWF got lucky. That's 96. Yeah, they got lucky. At the time, the LGBT wasn't. No, I tell you bad. They were the front force, but it wasn't.
But they weren't as prominent.
Yeah, that way. But if you would have done that shit this year, kiss your career goodbye. You'll get canceled. But it's WWF or WWE. You will only hear a lawsuit from WWE. You would. It's rarely hear from WCW. And it's extremely rarely from ECW. NWA, you ain't hear shit. New Japan, the only riff we heard from was Kota Ibushi. That was like last year. I mean, no company is perfect, but goddamn, only one company got more dirt than the cemetery. I tell you that. Got more bones than the skeletons. Lord, got more bones and skeletons in their closet. And they do it one more time. They got more skeletons in their closet than WWF. Because you have more bad shit from WWF or WWE than any other promotion. Like, I get it. And Tony can say this best. There's no such thing as a perfect company. But shit, I'd rather have not perfect, but an excellent company versus a terrible, dirty, successful company like WWF. And they're kings of it.
And I'll stop back into like another. But then, like I said, sometimes you also gotta watch because like when things bleed backstage, though, that's when it really gets personal. Because I think about what ultimately led to Alberto Del Rio being out of WWE the first time. Well, even though he was getting ready to leave anyway, but you remember that somebody called him a racist term, and he like threw that plate at that one employee, and yeah, that kind of sped up his exit. And I was like, yeah, when you don't check that type of stuff outside of your product, then when you do it on your product, yeah, that's gonna make a lot of people suspect. And oh Lord, I think of this. Well, I know like we always like go to this storyline. Triple H Booker T at WrestleMania 19.
Yeah, that one. It rubbed the wrong way.
Yeah, in more ways than one.
Yeah, like you people only go for dancing, you don't belong in here. And Triple H beat Booker T. that's like oof. That was really really rough
Yeah,
and terrible.
yeah, and then again, like I say, we also think about the gimmicks. Of course, I remember the worst one of them. Well, depending on who you asked. Yeah, turning a one man gang into Akeem.
I think that
Oh,
okay. That was in the 80s or late
yep.
80s. Okay, you gotta think about this.
Yeah, and with that damn ghetto blaster.
Ghetto Blaster, late 80s. To be honest, he got away because he got back then. That was the rise of hip hop, MTV. It was
Yep.
popular, and him he could have been the John Cena of the 80s if he would have won the title. If he would have won the WWE Championship, he would be the
So,
John Cena of the 80s.
uh, in a strange way, I actually do got to laugh at that one now because that's the first time I think I ever heard that phrase in my life. But yeah, actually, I know it's the first time I ever heard that phrase in my life. But
Mm.
oh, and then let me forget Roddy Piper doing a half black, half white kind of deal. Now you got to know a storyline is a bad idea when even Piper, who don't got no damn filter and don't give a damn about damn near everything, that when Roddy Piper is nervous about doing something, that should be telling you it's a bad idea.
Yeah, you could tell that's not his idea because Roddy Piper, God bless his soul, that's not him. That's got to be Vince McMahon shit or the creative.
Well, it
I'm
was.
Vince McMahon idea.
Yep.
I'm not.
I forget who else. I forget who was with him, but yeah, because I don't think Patterson was in the company at this time. But it was somebody with. I don't know if it might have been Bruce or it might have been somebody else, but I was like, I definitely know Vince was in there. And the funny thing was, like, they told Piper the idea, and they was like, "What?" And then Piper actually went up and told Bad News about this one. It's like, yeah, you're not gonna believe what they're just asking me. And then they were actually in the room together when Vince told Bad News the idea. And
Mm.
yeah, yeah, and I was like, yeah, you can imagine how Bad News was loving it. Yeah,
He he got Andre the Giant shook when Andre the Giant said a racist joke. Imagine what Bad News Brown will felt about that idea because with that's even bad. And what Vince McMahon thought about it is a good idea. We knew where his mind is at,
yeah.
and with that, it definitely give you an idea and pretty much give you an answer why there weren't any black WWF champion.
Mhm.
And we see that from the rip, like look at Junkyard Dog, in which I cannot wait to see on the dark side of the ring
Oh yeah,
of that episode. And me, you, and Tony would talk about that in the group chat, in which I need to get my damn Facebook back because that
yeah.
fucking hacker fucked it up. Um, that I would love to see the episode on that, but well, Vince's man thought or idea of things a good idea, but it just rotten. That's the only way I could think of is this rotten. Like, who would think of some shit like that unless you're in Hollywood? But mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, like I said, there's like a whole lot of. I would say, like, with everything going on in WWE right now, it's like Vince. It's like, dude, yeah, this is not the time to have like controversy and stuff right now. And yeah, and like I said, we're probably going to talk about this a little bit later. Hashtag Kills for Life coming up in a little bit. Um, but I had to see this. I know WWE's entertainment. I know that sometimes you want to tell stories, but it's like if you're going to go to race route, one, make sure it's clear with the people who are of each race involved. Because, yeah, one wrong slip, yeah, and we could have had whole different outcomes, like the whatever we did have. Second of all, yeah, make sure that your audience knows that this is not that this is like do like a little PSA saying that we know that the following segment's going to involve sensitive matter, yada yada yada, and all that other stuff. Kind of like how like some TV shows would do just prior to just prior to a certain scene in that show or a movie or whatever have you.
Like a different world.
Yeah, yeah, just do that. So that way it's like you take away a lot of the yeah, you take away a lot of the potential controversy, and then like when people are buzzy, you can like actually use it as an educational tool because when you don't when you don't preface things, then it's going to be like, oh, now you're giving people a chance to like play race cards or whatever, and yeah, or you can at least leave an open interpretation for racism. And I want to say this just to our minorities and our LGBTQ peoples. Yeah, when you see this type of material, I want to say this: don't don't instantly react negatively. I know it's going to be hard to do, but I want to actually yeah, because I'm going to actually share a little incident that I just got into with another incident. All right, so I was up in it. Yeah, because I did like a post about Simone Biles' wedding. Now, a couple hours later, somebody else said I did a more detailed post about it, and of course, now the administrator was white. So then, like, there was one person who's like had a negative comment, and then I responded to the first person. And it was like, yo, chill with your attitude, right? And then somebody responded back to me. Then a different person responded back to me. And then I like calmly explained everything. But when when she said, yes, that's gonna become a race issue, I kept doing a check and I was like, all right, first calm because if you responded right back to her, then you're gonna wind up giving her the power. So I explained as I just calmly wrote, no, because there is no need for it because there was no situation to be had. That all it was just two people posting about the same subject at different times. And if anything, you were the one that nearly turned this into a race issue because you brought it up first. I didn't. And then and then the conversation turned peaceful because I decided to keep things in check, but I didn't get nasty about it. And it was like if you if like you do something, if you see something like yeah, it's okay if you want to have a disagreement about it, but like use your brain and use your words first because you can actually diffuse a situation when there if there isn't one then you can also make sure you don't escalate it so that way it doesn't turn into a racial issue when it didn't have to be one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Only take one reaction to trigger the whole chain reaction. But let's end the show to good note.
And
With
man. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just want to say, next week, man, we're gonna have an international flavor with this one because I had to look up for when this was gonna happen. But next week, I actually found out that let's see, what is it? Next Tuesday is known as Europe Day in the world, and that got me to thinking: ain't WWE supposed to be doing an NXT Europe, like if not the end of this year, then the beginning of next year?
yeah, I have not heard one single peep about NXT Europe, but I know it's coming.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help WWE come up with a plan on how to structure their pay-per-view calendar for us, or PLE calendar for when they want to do anything with NXT Europe.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then of course Supercard redo with the Wrestle Kingdom 8. And by the way, I will be hitting you and Antonio up before that because I think at this point in time I wasn't as sharp with the New Japan as I have been now, thanks to like being on the show, which also, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, we may talk about the state of WWE after the draft and backlash, but we can push that down a little bit. But that's the show. And also, I'm sorry people who couldn't see on Facebook or people can't see on Facebook because my shit got hacked. But if it's working pretty good, then be back to normal. If not, then I gotta make a new one and try to make something different with that one. But other than that, you always catch it on YouTube. All you gotta do is share, like, subscribe, comment, share to your friends, share to everybody else who love this type of wrestling topics, and also just enjoy yourself. And I'm your boy Heel, my
And
partner,
Rocket Race,
and our boy Enforcer Antonio.
Yep.
And always next time.
Jealous of that, yeah, like I said, jealous he got some of that nice Memphis barbecue.
Yes. Try to get some Memphis barbecue or get some Memphis music. Like this is Mafia. But until then.
Oh, you know what else? I could actually do one extra thing. Yeah. With of course Cinco de Mayo being Friday. Yeah, we could do our tribute to our Mexican wrestlers.
You know, we could do that. That'd be good. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, so man, we're gonna have a real international show. So we're gonna have like, Supercard redo for Wrestle Kingdom 8. We're gonna have Europe Day, and like I said, WWE, we tag you in the show next week.
Yes.
And then of course, honoring our Mexican wrestlers. Oh, yeah, go have some international flavor next week.
Oh yes. But anyway, everybody have a good night. Everybody stay safe, and always embrace the thirst.
Peace. I just thought of something else.